Okay, can you all hear me now? All right, good evening. Sorry about that. It was an issue from my own end with my speaker. Okay, please give me 1 minute. We'll be starting right about now. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to class. Thank you so much for joining in. Sorry once again for the issues with the network. Welcome to week one of the Mentorship and Internship program for data privacy and protection. We are happy to have everyone in the class. Thank you so much for joining. We'll soon commence with today's session. Yes, I can see we already have one of our mentors on call. I will not waste any time. Right. Today's topic is Introduction to Data Privacy and Protection, and we'll be doing well to just give a very good overview into what data privacy. Okay, say there's an echo. Okay, sorry about that. I'm coming. One minute. Let me see if I can rectify it. All right. So is that better now? Okay. So once again, welcome to the JIIPCC Mentorship and Internship Program, week one. Our topic for today is Introduction to Data Privacy and Protection. My name is Dennis Williams, and I'll be your moderator for today's class. So going over to just quickly introduce our mentors for today. The first mentor we expect in today's session is Mr. Solomon Okidara. Mr. Solomon Okidara is a barrister and solicitor for the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Is a practicing legal practitioner and researcher with over 14 years post-call experience and outstanding expertise in human rights, with a special bias for data rights, including data protection and privacy, digital identity, online expression, intellectual property, e-commerce, tech and corporate transactions, and artificial intelligence, having an unusual knack for excellence and matchless client satisfaction, with a view to delivering maximal results, armed with a peerless ability to research in creative legal research and analysis, delivering impressive results in review of legal principles and standards. Solomon is a partner at Solomon Okidara and Co., a firm of barristers and solicitors, and co-founded Digital Rights Lawyers Initiative, a not-for-profit NGO that focuses on promotion and protection of digital rights. Solomon is a strategic litigation lawyer with a robust interest and a proven expertise in freedom of expression and digital rights litigation. I will not want to spend so much time reading the profiles of our mentors. Please, you can kindly follow us on LinkedIn, right? Our mentors' profiles have been posted there. You can read up, you can get to know the mentors, and you can also connect with them. Our second mentor, thank you so much, Mr. Solomon Okidara. Mr. Solomon, sorry to say, Mr. Solomon Okidara has been, one of our most consistent mentors within the JIIPCC Mentorship and Internship Program. He has always been wonderful getting to learn and listen to him, right? But another mentor that we'll be having today is Ms. Jadesola Esong. Ms. Jadesola is a corporate governance and compliance professional with vast experience in legal, regulatory compliance, legal/regulatory compliance, risk management, corporate administration, governance, and secretarial service. She is skilled in legal governance and risk advisory, contract management, data management, regulatory compliance, and secretarial practice. Thank you so much, Ms. Jadesola. Ms. Jadesola is not currently here on call, but we expect her to join us soon enough. Our next mentor for today, who is already here with us, is our one and only Mr. Emmanuel Iwere. Mr. Emmanuel is an accomplished information technology law specialist with a wealth of experience in guiding clients through the intricate legal landscape of technology. With over 8 years of expertise in the field, he has been a trusted advisor on several legal matters related to information technology, including data privacy, cybersecurity, intellectual property, and e-commerce. Education has been a cornerstone of Emmanuel's professional journey. In 2015, he earned his call to the bar certification from the Nigerian Law School, building a solid foundation in general law. He further honed his specialization in information technology law by pursuing a master's degree from the University of Tartu in Estonia. Prior to that, he completed his bachelor's degree in Madonna University in Nigeria. Emmanuel's career has been marked by significant accomplishments and he has held key roles in prestigious organizations as a business developer at Floorworld LLC in the United Arab Emirates. He managed various projects, ensuring compliance and due diligence. He provided crucial counsel to clients on matters such as data privacy, cybersecurity, and intellectual property. Additionally, in driving the success of various projects, during his tenure at Adamson Adiboro, San and Co., a prominent law firm in Nigeria, Emmanuel actively supported attorneys in legal research and document review. He played a pivotal role in drafting legal memos and reports while also engaging in clients' meeting and negotiation. His litigation experience was an asset in court appearances on behalf of clients. I will not be reading the full profile. Mr. Emmanuel's profile is quite very lengthy. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in. Please, I would like to ask mentees to do well to read up and follow through with the rest of Mr. Emmanuel's profile. So it shows his levels of expertise within this field, and you would want to know more about Mr. Emmanuel. I promise you would. So our last but not least of our mentors for today, who also is here with us in class, is Mr. Ridwan Badmos. Mr. Ridwan Badmos is a tech lawyer, multidisciplinary privacy professional, and CTO. His expertise expands across specialized technology law domains, encompassing artificial intelligence, blockchain, cloud computing, and cutting-edge technologies. Being a certified information privacy technologist with the LAPP and an esteemed One Trust Fellow of Privacy Technology, Ridwan is at the forefront of translating privacy regulations into functional applications that handles user data, a significant void he diligently fills. Furthermore, his unique position in working across numerous complex projects bridges the gap between legal and technical teams, thereby harmonizing two distinct domains in this expansive technology landscape. Ridwan adores for the effective implementation of privacy and security best practices is evidenced in his active involvement in shaping industry standards set forth by eminent organizations such as the National Institute of Standards and Institutions, the Cloud Security Alliance, and the Center of Internet Security. Thank you so much, Mr. Ridwan, for joining us. We are happy to have you in class. Okay, for the person asking about our mentors profile, like I said, our profiles, the mentors profiles are posted on our LinkedIn page. Please, you can follow us on LinkedIn at JIIPCC, right? And you will get to see these profiles posted. You can always follow through, and then you can connect with our mentors. You can always search for them on LinkedIn, connect with them, and I'm sure they will do well to help you as much as they can. So, not to waste any further time, we'll be getting straight into the business of today. Once again, our topic for today is introduction into data privacy and protection. And I'll first like to welcome, firstly, Mr. Emmanuel to come give us his discourse into today's topic for, I think, about 20 minutes, if that will be possible. And then we'll take also an introduction from Mr. Ridwan for 20 minutes, and then we'll carry on with the rest of class. So, Mr. Emmanuel, over to you. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. It's very, very wonderful and nice having you in today's session.
Thank you very much for having me. And I don't know. Okay, yes, my video is on. Hello, everyone. And
yes, sir, we can see you, but we can't really hear you.
You can't hear me? How about now? Is it better? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can actually hear
yes,
Mr.
I can hear
Emmanuel.
you now, sir.
Perfect. Hello, everyone, and it's a pleasure to connect with you today. This happens to be the first class for this year, and it's a pleasure to meet with you all. And let me just see those participating so that I will know those that we are all into this together. That will also help the interactive forum so that, yes, I can see you guys. And all right, I believe that based on your slides and what you have sent so far, your presentation that you said that I saw a good work, and I believe that if you are conversant with what is contained in that slide, trust me, you have the basic knowledge about what privacy, what data protection is all about. But I will just give a little recap and touch a bit about it, and I'll just share more practical examples to enhance your understanding. I know that it could be technical trying to grasp the whole concept, because I was talking to a professional about privacy and data protection last week, and the person was like, "It sounds so easy, but it is complex." Yes, it is. It is complex. Trust me. So I will just share some easy light on this concept so that you'll be able to pick the practical understanding of it. So, not to waste your time, I know that you're familiar with what data is all about. Just the word data is the first catch. Data. What is data? To summarize everything, data is information. And if you now try to correlate it to this topic, what is data privacy? You should know that data privacy is actually that right that you as a data subject, now you as an individual, or I'll refer to you as a data subject, that you have to, in fact, this right has been enshrined right from the Constitution, even before the whole concept of the GDPR, the NDPR, the whole concept of privacy and data protection became so broad like this. Like, it has been enshrined in our Constitution. It has been covered that, yes, every individual is entitled to a right of privacy. So what is this right all about? This right is to ensure that your information is safeguarded by, in fact, what are these information that we're talking about? Let's give examples of this information. Can I just get like 5 persons, just name one information that you have that is actually a personal data. Let's interact. Let's interact, guys. So who will be the first person talking today? Just say one information.
Email address.
Oluwaseun, very good. Your email address. Nice. Another person?
Your phone number.
Phone number. Oluwadamilola. Nice. You're wealthy. Your phone number is actually a number that it's unique to you alone. Another person, please.
Your religion.
Yeah.
It's actually a data, but it's a sensitive data. Now I'm just restricted to personal data. You're correct. It's a data.
Medical record.
Medical record, yeah, that one is also a sensitive data, correct?
Credit card information.
Yes, your bank account is actually unique to you, and your credit card information is actually unique to you. So very good. That's correct. Do you have another person?
Your location.
Location. Oluwaseun again. Nice. Very important. Your location. And the last one, who will give us the last one before we move?
Your passwords.
Your passport information. Yes, your passport number belongs.
No, passwords.
Password. Yes, it is, because it is unique to you alone. Perfect. Another point. So let's just say we in fact we have this knowledge about personal data. And now let me just give you this clear position. Now I want you to know that there are 2 types of data. There are personal data and the spatial category data, also known as sensitive data. So and you have to differentiate both very well. You can see that we just called everything randomly and we grouped them as personal data. I want you to understand that not all of them are categorized under personal data. So I'll give you the difference now. When it comes to personal data, we're looking at things like your name. We're looking at your address. We're looking at your phone number, as you mentioned. We're looking at your gender. We're looking at bank details. We're looking at place of work. We're looking at anything that can be identified with you. And if you are a student, your student number as well. Anything that can be used to identify with you, your personal data. And I now made mention of the other type of data, which is the spatial category data, or you can call it sensitive data. Now, the sensitive data has to do with your race, your ethnicity, your religion, your political and philosophical belief, also your health data. This one is very important, your health data, and criminal record as well. And we're looking at genetics, we're looking at your biometrics, we're looking at your sex life and sex orientation. So all these ones are categorized as spatial category data, also known as sensitive data. So please, whenever you ask, just know the difference between personal and sensitive data. Then, in fact, learn their difference, because that will help a lot. And now, one of the major difference between this personal data and sensitive data is that, based on the requirement of the law, that for no reason should you process the sensitive data without the explicit consent of the data subject. Now, there are so many reasons, exceptions to the general rule of don't process data without consent. And, but now when it comes to sensitive data, that one is a no-go area. It's actually a very tight call that you can frame out any, there are exceptions, but the exception comes on a very tight call. Then let's go to another thing. Before then, I'll ask you guys a question because I know that you guys have had this group time together, and who can answer this question? Then I'll know that yes, we're truly flowing in the same ship. Is photograph a personal data or a sensitive data?
It's a sensitive data, sir.
Sir, it is a sensitive data.
Why do you say so, Oni Bukola?
Okay, because a picture is something that, how will I put it? Like, it's something people use to recognize you, and they can actually impersonate a person. I don't know how to put it actually.
Good try, good try, good try. Who else can try again? Let's have more try.
Good evening.
BC, all right, BC, tell us what you think.
I feel it's a personal data.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
Tell me
it's
why.
just like the last person said, it's something that can be used to identify you. It's not as sensitive as your sexual orientation, your criminal record. It's something like your name, it's something that can be used to identify you as a person. That's what I think is a personal data.
Okay, that's a very good one as well. I like your answers, and I'll just tell you in general. Now, it depends on how you see it. Now, the person that said it's a sensitive data is not wrong. The person that said it's a personal data, it's not wrong. But now, it is generally categorized as a personal data, but when it involves the use of facial recognition, it now translates into a sensitive data. So you can use it from any angle that you want to deploy it, but in the special case that you're using it for. So if you're trying to get a facial recognition from a photograph, it becomes sensitive. I don't know if it's clear enough. All right, let's move to the obligation, the principles that the law has put on every controller, every processor to ensure that data is safeguarded. That's the data of every data subject is safeguarded. I saw in your slide you did something beautiful about this as well, but I'll just give some touches to it so that we will have more grasp on it. The first principle, never to forget, lawful, fairness, and transparency. I call it LFT. Any day and time. This is one principle that even if you will forget others, just hold this one very strong, because it is required of every data controller that they should have a legal basis for the possession of any data. And this legal basis must be communicated to the data subject adequately. So, and what are they communicating to the data subject? They must tell that data subject how the data is being collected. They must let the data subject know how the data is being stored, and most importantly, what it is used for. And how would they do this? I know that a lot of us here, we have been signing up to platforms, to services, but we don't read privacy notice. Okay, let's see. We have lots of 29 participants here. So if you know you have, and I guess we're all on Facebook. Let's assume that we're all on Facebook. If you know you have read Facebook privacy policy, just give us a show of hand. You're not saying anything, don't worry. If you know, we have one person, Oluwadamilola. Wow, I'm impressed. Like, this is good. I'm taking note of your name, Oluwadamilola. Who else have read Facebook privacy policy? Kosi Akonani. Oh, I'm taking note of this name. This is brilliant. You have read Facebook privacy policy. Who else, please? Okay. Studies has it that 87% of people do not read privacy notices. And this is the channel which have been created for companies, for organizations, for institutions to communicate this process to you. So I want you guys to know this today, that once you're any platform you're signing up to, any services you want to connect to, ensure that you are familiar with the privacy notice. Go through it. Now, there are lots of things for you to pick out, especially if you have that interest to get so much into data privacy and protection. Just be rest assured that in fact, use your free time to be reading privacy notices from, if you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, you're on X, all those platforms. Get familiar with the privacy notices. Now, a lot of them do businesses with your data, and it is your right to know if you will permit that or not. But once you don't read it, you let go, and the fairness and the transparency and the lawfulness has been defeated. So it is time for us to begin. Let us start adhering to this. Everybody here, just don't forget, read privacy notice. That is the message. What is the second obligation? What's the second principle? The second principle is people's limitation. When we talk about people's limitation, what are we talking about? This obligation has been vested on controllers to have a defined purpose. And these defined purpose must be explicit and legitimate. And anything outside that purpose, anything outside that purpose, no way. Don't go that side. Just make sure that you have a defined purpose of what you want to do with the data, how you want to store the data, and where the data goes to. You must have people. In fact, the purpose must be limited to what it is signed up for. Any other thing must require additional consent. What is the next principle or obligation on every controller? Data minimization. When you hear data minimization, what comes to your mind? Data minimization. Now, when I first heard it, I was thinking data should be minimal. I was trying to use the word to get in. Data should be minimal or less. But I delved deeper into the whole concept, and I discovered that now it means that when you hear the word data minimization, the principle is saying that now data collected by the controller should be adequate. 1, adequate. 2, relevant. And 3, limited to what it is necessary for. So collect data that is adequate, but that adequate data must be relevant to what you want to do, must be relevant, and must be limited. So the fact that they said collect adequate data, you can't collect excess. Limit it to what it is required for. I don't know if that one is very clear. So the next one is accuracy. So we have lots of let me give an example so that this one will really, really enter very well. Now, we know that a lot of ladies, once they get married, they want to adopt their husband's name or surname. So there will be a change of data. So because she'll be changing her name, she may be adding or removing her surname. So there is a change of data. So the principle of data accuracy is saying that data should be accurate and when necessary, be kept up to date. So if there is any change that this lady has made to her name, this data must be updated by the controller as well. Accuracy. So as you're updating your data, as you're changing location, as you're changing address, as you're changing phone number, controller update, it must be accurate with what the data subject is having. And an inaccurate data should be erased or rectified without any delay. That is what the concept of accuracy is all about. The next one is storage limitation. Now, this one is very key. I want you to know that. Now, this one borders on the concept of procession. Now, we're talking about storage. How do you keep this data? How do you keep this data? In what form do you keep this data? And if this data is no longer needed, what are you supposed to do with it? Erase it. And the law has provided a limit to how you can keep this data. So when you're storing data, I want you to always remember that storage must, the technical, the administrative, and the processes of storage must be sufficient. And secondly, only necessary data must be stored. Don't go and save on. In fact, we have a lot of banks that when you're applying for, maybe you want to open an account, they'll start asking you questions about your great-grandfather. They'll ask you your maiden, some kind of questions that I used to wonder, what are they going to use this information for? If you have had similar experience, just wave on your screen. Don't worry, you don't need to say anything. Just put any emoji on your screen. I know that yes, you have experienced that. Very good, Oluwadamilola. They give you some unnecessary information that is not so that you'll be wondering, are they planning to visit my village? But now this is saying that anything you want to store must be necessary. And the duration for storage must be adhered to based on the provision of the law. Then what is the next one? The next one is integrity and confidentiality. Now, the fundamental element of information security is called the CIA. When you hear CIA, we're talking about confidentiality, we're talking about integrity, we're talking about availability. So anything that has to do with data is backed up by three elements: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So even on the obligation that has been vested on every processor, you must treat every data with integrity, with confidentiality. That means they must ensure that appropriate security of personal data is inculcated in their organization. Now, in the case where there is, now, even without a data breach, you are supposed to have measures on ground that you can use to mitigate any risk. You must have an impact assessment team. All these things you get to know in future classes. But for now, just for you to know that now the obligation of integrity and confidentiality vests on every controller to ensure that they have a proper security measures on ground. And this security measure must adhere to the principle of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Do I still have much time?
So you have, I think, about 10 minutes.
Okay. All right. Let's look at the legal basis for processing of data. And when we say the legal basis of processing data, on what grounds can a processor be allowed to process data. So whenever you hear the word legal basis for processing data, it is the same thing as what are the reasons why you should process my data as a data subject? The first reason is consent. And based on the provision of the law, consent must be freely given. Don't coerce me. Don't twist it. I'll give you examples again. You know, there are some apps that you want to open and they'll tell you accept. They won't put decline properly. They will make sure you click and click and click before you find decline. How many people have experienced similar experience, have had similar experience? Now, these consents are supposed to be made very, very easy for you to click, either you're declining or you're accepting. But a lot of these controllers, they try to hide these things. They try to disguise their whole plan. Another one is concept. The consent must be specified. So if it is yes, I accept, please create a space for yes, I accept. If it is tick yes, I accept, provide it. Don't try to make it ambiguous. Don't try to make it look like you're playing 2 by 2. So I told you earlier on, when it has to do with consent for special category data, that one, they don't negotiate it. It must be explicit, very clear, and specify statement of consent. Now, so we gave examples of what of the special category data. If you remember, let's use your health data now as an example. We want to collect Aisha's health record from maybe her employer. It is very or let's say her employer wants to share it with a third party. The requirement is that there must be a statement of consent. Like, don't even ask, you can't just ask her, we're going to share, you can't do it carelessly. Based on the requirement of the law is that this particular type of consent must be explicit. That means very clear. Okay, let me move away from consent. The next one is contract. So where there is contract, and let's say for the performance of a particular contract, and your information will be needed to execute it, to carry out certain part of the contract, then there is a legal grounds, there is a legal basis for your data to be processed. What next? Legal obligation. So let's say you should be familiar with the fact that even government agencies are controllers. So if you have any dealings with them, in compliance of their duty, they can have the legal obligation to process your data. But this procession of data must be for public interest. The next one is vital interest. So for this vital interest, I like giving examples so that for proper understanding. Let's say you're traveling and there is an accident. In order for them to in order for them to treat you or check you, they need to use your data. They need to use your even your health your special category data at that moment. At that given time, that is where vital interest takes place. So in the aspect of emergency, it is required that it is like when they say vital interest can be used as a basis for the procession of the data. What is the next one? Public interest. Necessary for public interest. When a public official wants to execute maybe his function or his public authority. Now he can process your data. Let's give an example. I think an example will work very well. Let's say, yes, a census is about to be conducted. Definitely, they will need to process your data, and by so doing, they can rely on public interest. The next one is legitimate interest. Now, legitimate interest is one that I think is very common with lots of people because most of us have employers, and for these employers, sometimes they interact with they are connected to third parties. Let's say let's use this platform. Very good. JIP, very good. JIIPCC. JIIPCC also connects to Zoom in order for them to showcase or carry out their activities. And connecting to Zoom is a third party. So now, by virtue of your appearance here, your data has been shared to Zoom. I don't know if this example is super clear. So this is from your controller. It is very essential that Zoom, it is very essential for Zoom to have your data right now. So now they can rely on legitimate interest. So there are three steps to test legitimate interest. Number one is the purpose test. Number two is the necessity test. And number three is the balance test. And if the test, if all these requirements can be passed, if all these tests can be passed, then they can rely on legitimate interest. So I think I should just round up everything so that I will enter topic that we're supposed to discuss in other classes. So for now, let us take I don't need to. No, questions will come later. So thank you very much, our moderator. I think I have touched on the introduction, and I'll see you guys in the question section.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you so much for that wonderful and insightful introduction from your end. We'll be moving over to our next mentor, Ms. Jadisola. Ms. Jadisola, please, we would like to also get your introduction from your end. We would like to hear from you what you have for us for today. You're welcome, ma.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, good evening, ma. We can hear you, ma. You're welcome, ma.
Thank you. I don't know where to start. I believe that the previous speaker has touched on pretty much everything. I mean, when he was teaching, I was just like, what is left? Oh my God. All right. But I'll just speak to, certain things that he had said. And one of the things that I wanted to particularly speak about is that, you would find that in this data protection issue, there are basically two parties, right? The party that is receiving the data or that is looking to process data, and then the data subjects. Now, the thing is, with all the rules and with all the sanctions that the NDPC has been given in the recent past, right, you would find that data processors now know more. It seems as though data processors now know more than the data subjects. And what the data processors and data controllers are doing now are just to put measures in place, right, to protect themselves. And it now appears as though the onus lies on the data subjects to first know that they have rights, right? And to make sure that their rights are not being infringed upon. I mean, thankfully, so we have been seeing a lot of, decided matters on issues bordering on data privacy, particularly as not every aspect of data privacy was, discussed in the NDPA. Yes, the regulations are still growing, and to a large extent, this is still will I call it new waters? So we will find out it is as incidents happens, right? That is how the guidelines and rules and regulations and laws are being upgraded to match up with the current trends, for lack of a better word. So I find that what has happened, I'm trying very hard not to touch on, all the things that I believe it was Mr. Dennis that spoke before me. I don't know if I'm right. I don't want to go back to touch on what he has said, but I'm speaking now from the standpoint of a data processor or a data controller, and I would say that what we have now is an it is a skill that is, largely tilting towards the data processors and controllers, knowing all the gaps that they are supposed to tick. Like you rightly said, you would find data processors actually have privacy notices and have privacy policies, but they will do it in such a way that, you are not interested in reading it, and squeeze all these terms and conditions there, and then you consent to it. And at the end of the day, if anything happens, the major purpose for anybody collecting your data, to be quite honest, is for marketing purposes, right? Most often than not, is so that they can grow their business, so that they can grow their brand. It is for marketing processes. So they benefit nothing from the relationship if you block the chances of them being able to market future products to you, or things around that area. So the onus lies on you to determine the extent to which your data is to be processed. And there was something that he had said about banks collecting information that probably they don't need. You would agree with me that if you went to bank like 3 or 4 years ago, the length of the form and the information being collected compared to now, has largely reduced. And that is because it was easier for the NDPC to choose as scapegoats regulated entities, like banks, other financial institutions, telecommunication companies, people that already have strict regulators. So they work in hand with the regulators, and it is easy to spot or to pick, data processors and data controllers. Another thing that I wanted to say is, I don't know if I will wait until now or wait until the question and answer session, but there were some questions that they were sent to me by I don't know the name of the person I had been speaking with. Please, can someone guide me? Should I touch on some of those questions now, or just wait until the Q&A session? Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes,
Can
we can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am, we
I
said
don't know.
we will do the question in the Q&A session. Sorry
Okay,
about that.
in the Q&A session. Okay. So that, is anybody saying something?
Sorry, ma'am, you can go ahead.
Okay. All right. So like I said earlier, the previous speaker has largely talked about a lot of things, and then I don't want to, I just noted some of the things that I hadn't spoken about, and that's one of the things I wanted to touch on. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to touch on is the right to be forgotten, and how it tallies with data minimization. Sorry, I know we've not gotten, I don't think we are discussing the rights of data subjects here, but it is, to a large extent, quite linked to data minimization. And you would find sometimes that data processors and data controllers may be in a fix, because the rule says that you don't keep the data for longer than is necessary. And then you would find like the Money Laundering Act and, the FATF, principles stating that, oh, you keep it for 5 years, you keep it for 7 years. And then you read some other act and you find, an obligation on banks and other financial institutions, for instance, stating that you must always be able to provide, records of a transaction anytime the CBN or the SEC or PENCOM or one of those individuals request for it. Now there's is it conflicting interest? I'm going to call it now, or conflicting laws, because if they tell you that at any point in time they request for the details of a transaction, you must be able to provide it. It almost means that you have to keep the data in perpetuity, right? You would find people like the old banks, First Bank, Wema Bank, Union Bank, spent so much on data archiving. Thankfully now with the existence of electronic archiving, it has become, a little bit more manageable. But you'll find those institutions, largely unwilling to dispose of data because of that caveat that has been put on them. So I feel like, a lot still needs to be done in the space, in the place of amending previously existing regulations to properly consider, the effects of data breach and whatnot. And that is why, as a data processor, you have the primary responsibility of keeping the data confidential for as long as you are going to keep it. The part of the principles that the previous speaker had mentioned was the principle of confidentiality, right? You are supposed to keep all this information confidential, and you are supposed to do all that you can to ensure that the data of your client or whoever the data subject is that you have with you is well kept. So in hospitals, for instance, in fact, I think that is probably hospitals, schools, and churches. Those are people that I feel like largely just treats data as if it is nothing. I mean, you would go to the hospital, for instance, and you find two nurses or a doctor and a nurse just loosely gossiping about somebody's, health situation. And maybe they just mistakenly mention the person's name and they don't know that somebody in the room knows the person. And alas, we know that Mr. Ajale Koko has HIV. Things have to be put in place. People need to be sanctioned. You go to the general hospital sometimes and you find the cabinets opened, no key, or they have keys, but the keys are at the mouth of the cabinet, which provides easy access to the data. So the data processor has the primary responsibility of keeping those information secured. You have the primary responsibility of ensuring that no breach is going to occur. And I think he had also mentioned something about DPIA. It is very important for you as a data processor that before you start a process that will collect data, before you launch a product, before you put out a form, before you open a website, before you launch an app, you do a test and determine, okay, this thing that we want to do, exactly how much data do we need? That is data minimization, right? How are we going to process this data? All of that is in the principle of lawfulness, fairness, and transparency. You inform the data subject, by way of your privacy policy, by way of your privacy notice. XYZ is what we are going to collect, and ABC is how we are going to use it, right? You tell them that is all embedded in the principle of lawfulness, fairness, and transparency. And you are only able to determine this when you do a DPIA ahead of the process starting or ahead of you collecting the information. I mean, when you go for church programs, you will find a registration list outside. They have asked for your name. They have asked for your address. If they don't ask for the particular address, they're asking you from the area you are coming from. They have asked you for your phone number. They have asked you for your gender. Somebody just glancing or glimpsing the registration paper already has all the information that you have. I mean, I was discussing with a group of data protection officers, we had a training and we were talking about something. Somebody had raised this example of someone who had been trying to gain access to a particular person, and they went for a program together. So as he was signing in his name, he just saw the person's name and then he saw the person's phone number and he saw the person's email address. Access granted, very easy. So there's still a lot of work to be doing for sensitization of people that are not, in regulated spaces like churches, which is the example that I have just mentioned. And let's not even go to social media. I mean, that's something that we are going to discuss in the Q&A session. There's no regulation in that space and a lot of craziness is happening. So I feel like a lot more work needs to be done. People are coming to understand, their rights and, are trying to ensure that data processors are, data controller rather, they are they are protecting their rights, so to speak. And like I've already said, because of sanctions that we've begun to see, we see that data processors and data controllers are protecting themselves. But I still believe that the gap is wide and a lot more work needs to be done. And I mean, that's why I'm glad to see that there are a lot of more people learning about data protection. And, you people can help us provide solutions to this gap that we see. So I think I'll stop here so that, I don't take the whole day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jadisola, for that wonderful presentation. You were able to highlight very, very key points with examples, and really, really appreciate those. That's that's insights. So we'll be moving on to our last mentor, and then we'll be taking presentation from group 1 and 2. Right. So please, as our last mentor is going to be speaking for 20 minutes, please let group 1 and 2 also get ready for their presentation, and then we'll take feedback from the mentor and then we'll get to Q&A session. So please, we would like to welcome Mr. Ridwan Badmos. Mr. Ridwan, are you with us? Okay. Okay, Mr. Ridwan is no longer on the call. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the presentation. Hopefully, if Mr. Ridwan joins us back, we'll hear from him and his discourse for today. But if he doesn't, then we'll just get to feedback from the two mentors on call, and then we'll take the questions. So please, do we have the group presenter for group 1 on call? Please, we'd like for you to share your screen and start your presentation. The group presenter for group 1. Do we have the group presenter for group 1? Please, we do not want to waste time. Please, can you kindly unmute, share your slides, and start your presentation? Okay, it seems group 1 is taking time to figure themselves out. So please, can we have group 2's presentation? And then please, group 1, try and get ready so that we'll take your presentation after that. Group 2, are you guys with us?
Yes, we're with you, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Please share your screen and start your presentation. And please, group 1, also try to get ready your presentation after group 1 is done. Please, you have 10 minutes for your presentation.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Fayanju Oluwaseun, and my group members and I'm representing my group members, and we're going to be talking on the introduction to data protection and privacy. So before I go on, I want to believe that there have been times that we've received emails or we've received a phone call from people we do not know, and you ask yourself, who is calling me? How did this person get my information? I believe that's where data protection comes in. So data protection is more or less about how data is controlled and how the personal data of a person is collected and used. And in today's digital age, I believe that data protection rather is not just a legal issue, but it's a fundamental right as seen under Section 37 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So, definition of terms. The first term I believe that we should know about is data. Right from secondary school, if you did computer science or data processing, we know that data can be defined as a collection of information. Data can be a person's personal information. So we have data privacy and data protection. So data privacy and data protection are closely related in the sense that they both help to ensure that data of a person is safeguarded and it's not just used anyhow. So what's the difference between data privacy and data protection? Data privacy is the right of an individual for their personal information to be kept and used well, while data protection can be defined as those strategies, those measures that are used to ensure that one's data is being safeguarded. So now personal data, as our mentors have already shed so much light on it, personal data can be your phone number, your email address, your location, and we have data subjects. I'm a data subject. You all are data subjects. Students, we are the individuals to whom personal data relates. So what are the data? We've been hearing data controller, we've been hearing data processors, data processing. So what is all this about? What does it mean? So data controllers are simply a person or an entity that determines how a person's data will be used. For example, if you register on your website, there are data controllers. We've learned that also government officials, the governments can be data controllers. So moving on next to data processor. So a data processor is a person that handles data on behalf of the data controller. For example, on an e-commerce website, let's say on which e-commerce? Okay, we have Jumia, we have Shein. Those are data controllers. So, but the what's it called? The people that buy and sell, more or less, are the data processors. So now what's data processing? So data processing is any action taken on data, either be it collecting data, sharing data. Those are data. That's what data processing is all about. Now we have consent. So consent is that an individual must know how their data should be used. They should be able to give consent, they should be able to say that this is what I want my data to be used for. For example, on social media platforms, we know that before they can share your location, or before they have access to your location, they must ask you that, can we access your location? For example, on InDrive or Bolt, they ask. There's also some other apps like Instagram, Facebook. They ask you that, can we track your data amongst other websites? So that's consent.
Servicing none, I guess.
So let's move on. So we have data security. So companies are obliged to make sure that they protect your personal information. For example, banks, there are banks like Access Bank, Wema Bank, etc. They should encrypt data, all personal data, like your account numbers and your passwords. Even WhatsApp that we use, they encrypt our data. I'm sure you see it all the time whenever you want to make phone calls. You see end-to-end encryption. So moving on, we have personal data breach. So just like the name implies, it's simply when there is a breach of security data controller. It's just basically when your data is being breached. For example, you know how many times 419 from the banks, they've called us, is this so, is this? And you're like, and you want to be very sure that this person is the right person, or this person is not a fraud. And you're like, if you're not a fraud, then what's my date of birth? And you realize that these people are actually telling you your date of birth. They are telling you your email. They're telling you everything about yourself. And you're like, how? And that's why most of the time people fall prey of these people because your personal data has been breached. So we have sensitive personal data, as our mentors have already talked a lot on this. So sensitive personal data refers to your race, your ethnicity. It can also be your health status, your sex life, your sex orientation, etc. So let's move on. So we have legal framework. So in Nigeria, because the emergence of data, of social media rather, the world has become a global village. So because of that, there are new laws that have been implemented to combat data breach and all of that. So the first one is the Nigerian Data Protection Act of 2023. This majorly is to protect personal data. We have the same as the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation of 2019. It also aims to safeguard personal data. The Nigerian Data Protection Regulation too, they're all tailored basically to implement the data to protect data in Nigeria. Now, other ones are the CFRN, case laws, National Health Acts, etc., Child Rights Acts. So this is very important. The data protection principles. Our mentor has really touched on this, but I would also be giving my own understanding, hopefully, to also help you to understand what these principles are. Now we have lawfulness, fairness, and transparency. As he puts it in a short abbreviation known as LFT. So this means that data controllers should have legal basis and it must be communicated to the data subject. This simply means that they should have a valid reason for collecting data. Next up, we have the purpose limitation. So it means that data should only be used for the reason it was collected, and that data controllers, they should have a purpose, and this purpose for which they want to use your data, it must be legitimate. Now, moving on, we have data minimization. So data minimization doesn't mean your data should be minimized, like the name implies. Rather, it means that you should only collect necessary data, the data that is important to the, for example, your bank, like you don't expect them to ask you your grandfather's name or only the important things like your surname, like your mother's maiden name, and etc. So we have accuracy. So accuracy simply means that your data must be kept up to date. There have been previous examples. For example, if I'm to get married today, I'm going to take my husband's name. I'm me taking my husband's name. I'm supposed to ensure that data is supposed to be updated. That, okay, I'm no longer Fayonju Oluwaseun. I'm maybe Fayonju. I'm maybe Seun Adetowo or something like that. So, or if you want to change your location from Lagos to Abuja, you must ensure that your data must be kept up to date. And okay, we have storage limitation. So it means that one should not keep, or this these companies should not keep your data for as long as, they should not keep data rather for as long as it is needed. For example, on LinkedIn, if you want to verify your LinkedIn, you use your international passport to verify your LinkedIn. And when you do verify your LinkedIn and they take your data, they will tell you that, okay, your data has been, your LinkedIn profile has been verified. However, this is going to be deleted in the next 14 days. That is an example of storage limitation. Now, going on, we have integrity and confidentiality. So this means that data must be protected with security measures. So the last one is accountability. So this means that organizations must follow all these principles. They must be accountable to the government. They must be accountable to the law, basically. So I want us to think of our personal data like our house key, the key to our house. We cannot just give the keys to our house to anybody. We cannot just give our PIN. the PIN of our like ATM. We can't just give it to anybody. And so these companies that we entrust our data with should not also misuse our data. So in conclusion, I believe that data protection is not just about law, but it's about trust. And we as individuals, as students, as mentors, business owners, that we should uphold these principles and we should use it to help to protect personal information. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Oluwaseun, for that wonderful presentation. Well done to you and your team for putting it together on behalf of your team. And we do encourage that, maybe in subsequent classes, please let there be more case laws and case studies that you can represent in your or put in your presentation. So please, we'd like to hear from Group 1. If they are ready, please, Group 1 would like to take your presentation. Mr. Solomon Okedara is with us. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. After Group 1 is done, we'll take presentations we'll receive his feedback and, a little insight into today's topic, and then we'll move to the other mentors. So please, do we have Group 1? Group 1, are you ready?
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Please, you can go ahead.
Yes, I'm representing Group 1. I'm coming to share. Okay, please, can you see my screen?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Oluwabukola Oni, and I'll be representing Group 1. And our topic for today is an overview of data privacy and protection. So, going into this, we'll be looking at the definition, laws and regulation, and also key concepts and principles under data privacy and protection. So first off, I would like to give a brief introduction into this. So, and currently we are currently in a digital world where we make use of internet and digital make use of internet in almost everything we do and our digital gadgets. So in line to this, we have to be, as we are conscious of the digital world we have, we also need to be conscious of our data privacy and protection. So in line to this, the government, our regulations body have also placed laws here to prevent or restrict the excess use of data and data infringement. So I'll be looking at the definitions of key concepts now. So I'm starting with data protection and privacy. So when these two words are intertwined, they are connected, but they mean different things. So looking at data protection, we are looking at the laws, the policies that are set, that are provided to protect the data subject from data infringers. So data protection can be defined as the laws, the policies that are in line to protect the data subject. While data privacy they are the tools and policies to actually restrict access to the data. So since we have this protection and privacy, there are set laws in Nigeria currently, which even though they are very recent, like we have the Nigerian Data Protection Act. This was enacted in 2023. So this is the main law guiding data protection. So this law talks about safeguarding the rights, freedom, and interest of data subjects under the Nigerian Constitution. So this is the first law we look at when we are talking about data protection in Nigeria. However, we have other laws that that are also in line with data privacy and protection. First off, we have the 1999 Constitution, where we have rights to, when we talk about the fundamental human rights of a person, we have the right to privacy, which is one part of the fundamental human rights. So we can also say that this is one of laws put in place to protect data, to protect the data subject. We also have other laws, like we have the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation, which was enacted 2019. We have the NDPR Implementation Framework. We have the Freedom of Information Act. We have the National Identity Management Commission Act. And we have Cybercrime Prohibition Prevention Act. So all these laws work together in ensuring that everyone's data are safeguarded and there are limitations to how these data are used, limitations on how how these laws are stored, and it sets like boundaries, limitations on what this data can be used for and how it can be stored. So looking into the key concepts and principles. So when we are looking at these key concepts and principles, Mr. Emmanuel has already explained some of these, but I'll quickly go through them. In our presentation, we have 7 of them. The first one is we have lawfulness, fairness, and transparency. Sorry, is someone speaking? Okay. The first one we have here is lawfulness, fairness, and transparency. So these 3 elements simply means that when these laws are, and when these data are used, they must be used for legitimate purposes. And fairness, that means what you are using the law for should not be based on bias or any unnecessary usefulness. Transparency, that means it must be clear, stating it like on clear terms what it's meant to be used for. So now looking at purpose limitation. So this simply means that based on what is the use, what we are asking, what the data processor is asking should be, the data requested for should be used for that specific purpose, not going off limits, asking for things that are not related. And this is also similar, is very connected, similar to data minimization. So unnecessary data should not be requested, like what Mr. Emmanuel said, when they're asking for your bank details, when they're asking for your mother's maiden name and other datas. So we have accuracy. Mr. Emmanuel explained that when you have when data are incorrect, it should be corrected. Data must be kept correctly, and inaccurate data should be promptly corrected or deleted. Promptly, this means it should be done immediately, like as fast as possible. We have storage limitation. So personal data should only be retained for as long as needed for its intended purposes. So when Mr. Emmanuel was explaining this part, it made mention of maybe 5 years. I didn't really get that part very well. But I know based on what we have here, storage limitation, for the required time the data should be used for, that is what we are, it should be, that data should exist for. Integrity and confidentiality. This is the one he mentioned, CIA, that is confidentiality, integrity, and accuracy. So our data should be kept in a very secured manner, not something that any outsider can easily get access to, which can lead to other cyber crimes, other other problems to the owner of the data. So accountability, organization must comply with this principle and provide proof of compliance through proper documentation and policies. So this simply means that these data processors should follow the laid down rules which they have in making use of people's data. So in conclusion, data protection is fundamental to preserving trust, security, and privacy in today's digital landscape. So as we are making use of every application, everything that needs our details, we should also be conscious of how our data are shared, whether personal data or sensitive data. We should be conscious of it, and also we should be also aware of laws in place in protecting these rights. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Bukola, for that presentation from your end. Well done for stepping in and presenting on behalf of your group. Well done to you and your team. But like we said, or like I said earlier, please, maybe in subsequent classes, please we would like to see more case laws so that, it can serve as examples of, violations and also things where we can see it within the context of, within law and praxis. So we'll be going over to our mentors right about now. I think we have like I said, we have Mr. Solomon Okidara in class. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. It's very, very nice seeing you in class. Thank you so much, sir. Happy New Year, sir.
Same to you here.
Yes, sir. We would just like to get feedback on the presentation and your take on today's course. You're welcome, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, moderator. It's a pleasure to be here. And once again, of course, Happy New Year to you. And, is Mr. Emmanuel still in the room?
Hi, Mr. Solomon. Happy New
Hey,
Year.
my Oga.
You are the real Oga right now.
Your head now.
Very good, very good.
Okay, good to know you are here. Thank you so much for all the support.
Thank you.
So, guys, thank you for your presentations. And I think I will actually start from where our moderator stopped. You see, I don't want us to fight, and I can understand that. Okay, some of the courts have actually been privileged to participate, and mentors specifically have actually shared this with them over and over again. If these presentations were being done 3 years ago, let's say 2022 or 2020, even 2023, maybe something can still be excused away. And right now, I'm actually speaking specifically to Oluwaseun and Bukola on behalf for your groups. Still in the room? Bukola?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm here, sir.
Who is here, sir? Who is
this
that?
Is Bukola.
Then Shane, yes. Is Shane still in the room?
Yes, sir, I'm here. My name is Oluwaseun.
Your presentations, if you actually made them 2022, 2021, 2020, I will not actually have to emphasize this comment. But you are making them in 2025 when we have not only sufficient case laws, we have local case laws. As of 2022, 2021, 2020, when we're going to court to litigate on data protection and privacy in Nigeria, we were mostly relying on European case laws. But right now, almost every other month, you have judgment coming out of our courts on data protection and privacy. So I do not see a reason. You don't have an excuse. For me, I would just simply call it laziness, and that's what it is. And you see, when you are doing this, you are actually helping yourself, and you are also giving us opportunities to learn from you. Because the reality is this. Oluwaseun, let me remarkably comment that you did some good job by giving us illustration instances while you were making your presentation. But then it is not all that on a straight line in reality. Sometimes there are many shades of violation, many shades of protection in a particular case. Are you with me? Oluwaseun, can you hear what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir.
So when you have a single case, when you have a case law, a life case is able to actually take us through what the position was, what were the alleged violation, what was the position of the court, what was the audit of the court, and we may even have to ask ourselves, interrogate the decision of the court, whether that is sustainable or not. One of the beautiful things about law, I must say, is that it gives you opportunity to actually argue from both sides or even multiple sides of the situation. So as of today, I can sit down here and count not less than 20 cases that should actually come up here. And I'm wondering, I can't see anyone. You see, one of the things you coming here, leaving your class, now you should have advantage over some of your colleagues. In fact, let me let you know, if you take advantage of this program, you should be better off than many practicing lawyers. And that's what it is. Please, this should be the last time any mentor or moderator will have to talk about this. Go out of your way. Challenge us. You know, learn, blow up our minds, for God's sake. Almost every other month, if not week now, judgments on data protection and privacy are coming out of our courts. One of the most recent one, you know, it has to do with e-commerce. You know, it involved this platform. One of the pizza outlets. If I mentioned the name now, you know. Maybe one of the someone mentioned the name already. So there are, because you see, the reality is that almost every day there are violations of personal data around us. But then how many of them get to the courtroom? So those people that get to the courtroom, let us actually bring them out, analyze, dissect them, and say, what did the court say? What do we think it should be? Because let me let you know this. The fact that a court decided a case in a way does not mean that is actually how it should have been decided. I'm sure you agree with that. You know that's true. Oluwaseun. Oluwaseun.
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
I said
Yes,
something
sir.
now.
I can hear you, sir.
The fact that a court gives a decision, a judgment in a case, does not mean that is how it should be. Maybe it could be different. And that is why we appeal judgment. Is that not so?
Yes, sir. You're correct, sir.
So please, going forward, for your next presentation, the moment you get the topic, go all out and get us case law, local and foreign. Even if you are not going to foreign jurisdiction, you have a good number from local jurisdiction. So that will be the number one comment I'm going to make. Please let no moderator, let no mentor have reason to bring that to your attention again. A good number of times, I realized that, in fact, one of the opportunities for some lecturers, tutors, mentors to learn is to get their mentee, their student, to actually research, and bring their findings, which oftentimes excite and actually, enlighten the minds of the lecturer, the tutor, or the mentors, as the case may be. So I want to believe that you will take this into consideration, and it's going to be a priority for your next presentations, respectfully. Okay, yes. So group 2, Oluwaseun, you made very good attempts, and aside the general remark I made, and but one of the things that okay, so let me quickly go to group 1. Bukola.
Yes.
Are you
Yes, sir, I
fasting?
can hear you, sir.
Are you fasting?
No, sir.
No, are you sure you're not fasting?
No, sir.
Maybe your presentation came across to me that way. It seemed you were fasting. I know you could give me more, you could give us more energy, more conviction in your presentation. Perhaps you picked up your slides late, so I couldn't see, sufficient energy from you. I couldn't see sufficient conviction in what you were teaching us from you. So we want to see more of that. We want to see that you want you to hold your presentation. You didn't do much of that. If you were in class when Oluwaseun presented, Oluwaseun gave us presentation as if she was taking a stroke. As if she was telling us, so yeah, my children, let me tell you a story. Do you understand, Bukola?
Yes, sir.
So please, your next presentation, I want you to flow from your heart. I want you to, if it will take you to rehearse it, go through it, let it be your story. Don't just let it look like something you picked and you are reading. You see, the whole essence of presentation is not to read to us, but to share with us what you have researched, what you have put together, what you have internalized, what you have interrogated, what you understand. That's what your presentation should be. So, and I hope when you are given the next opportunity in your group to present to us, you will do a better job. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Thanks so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Now, so going back, yes, Oluwaseun, you told us something that is it Oluwaseun that mentioned it? I think it's Oluwaseun. When you were telling us about data minimization, you said, okay, they can ask for your, shouldn't be asking for your father's, your grandfather's name. Well, of course, they can ask for your mother's maiden name. Oluwaseun, you're the one who said that, or Bukola?
I'm the one who said that, sir.
Okay, so may I ask you, Oluwaseun, do you think asking for a mother's maiden name for account opening, do you honestly think it does not offend the principle of data minimization? Do you think so?
I don't think so, sir. I don't think it offends.
Please, can you share with us why you think you don't think so?
Well, I believe that it's very, very possible for two persons to have the exact same name. So knowing your mother's maiden name can give a deeper can help you to understand more about who this particular person is.
What about my father's first name?
It's very important too, sir, because some people tend to leave their father's name and take their own first name.
Okay, so Bukola, what do you think?
Okay, sir, I think including our father or mother's maiden name to it is like making it specific for the.
So you're saying you agree with Oluwaseun?
Data for the data subject.
Are you saying you agree with Oluwaseun?
Yes, sir.
So you're in the same legal team. Do we have any other person in the room, any of the two groups, any person from the two groups who disagree with them?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Oluwadamilola.
Hello. Yes,
Okay,
hello.
who is speaking now?
Hello.
Oh.
Hello.
Who is speaking now? Who? What's your name, please?
My name is BC Afolabi.
BC Afolabi. Okay.
So
Please go ahead.
I disagree with both of them.
Okay. Okay.
That's taking the mother's maiden name or the father's other name. It offends the principle of minimization. I mean, the banks take the first name, your middle name, and your last name. They have other data, like your date of birth. Some of them even have other data. So what are the chances that somebody who bears my three names also have my date of birth and also have the same data they have collected from me? The chances are very slim. So going ahead to get my mother's maiden name or my father's first name offends the principle of minimization, because what is the connection of my mother's maiden name with opening a bank account and running the same?
No, maybe they want to send your mom a birthday greeting.
That's quite a stretch, sir.
Yeah, I know. I only said that on a very light note. Okay, so thank you so much for your insight, BC. And I could see Oluwadamilola raised up his or her hand. Yes, Oluwadamilola should be. I mean, that's an assumption, anyways. Oluwadamilola, can we have you?
Hello everyone. Good evening. Well, I agree
This
with.
Oluwadamilola.
Yes, this is. I'm the one speaking.
Okay, great.
Right.
So,
So,
which legal team do you align with? The
if we recall from earlier in class,
hold it, please. Which of the groups team do you align with? Oluwaseun Bukola, that's a team. Another team is BC's team. Do you?
my position aligns with Basis' position primarily because it was covered in class. You know, yeah, one of the moderators, particularly Mr. Emmanuel, clarified that it's excessive to ask for the maiden name data, given the parameters of the other parts of data we have. That's it really. But I understand the other legal team's position, that I do not align with it, but I understand how they came about it because, sometimes there are cases where people have similar names, which is why we have other forms of data that clarifies, that's unique, clarifies which subject is which and, unique parts of it.
Oluwadamilola, you are being very decorous and with a sense of courtesy. I'm sure you are writing a brief in court. You won't be this courteous. Oftentimes you see lawyers going ballistic against their opponents in written addresses. Because when you said you understand their opinion, right? Oftentimes people who don't even want to understand the opinion of the opposite team. Well, that's a good one. Thank you for your contribution. Any other person? Let me just take one person then, because we have to. We have equal numbers of same position here. Oluwaseun and Bukola take same position. BC and Oluwadamilola take position. Can we have a number? Can we have the last presenter or the last speaker to comment? Any person? Okay, Fortune, please let's have you.
All right. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thank you. So interestingly, the first two, team A are females and team B are males. Okay. So let's see who actually supports.
Okay, thank you, sir, for this opportunity. I think I align with team B. This is because I just want to draw
You're not supporting your fellow women. Today is International Women's Day.
Okay, happy International Women's Day to all the women. But
Bukola, your colleague just broke your heart now. She left you and she abandoned you and went to men. Okay. God knows, though. God sees you. Please go on.
Thank you. I'm agreeing to Team B is because I just want to use one illustration. When it comes to fingerprint, I think fingerprint is one unique data it is just peculiar to an individual, and it's one thing that separates a lot of us. If you are coming from this aspect of two people can bear the same name, So when it comes to this your fingerprint, I think fingerprint has that distinct element to distinguish each of us from one another. So I think that's taking of maiden name. What is the color of your gate? Especially when you want to do an upgrade, they'll ask what's the color of your gate, where do you stay, and all of that. I think it's excessive. In contrast to the data, to the principle of data minimization.
Okay, thank you so much, Fortune, for your insights. And I don't know whether I should tell you what my belief is. And honestly, I tell you, there are multiple times when data controllers, contravene principle of data minimization in our country. And of course, one of such instances is when you're opening bank account and they ask for your mother's maiden name. I believe absolutely. You know why? You see, with all sense of modesty, I've actually engaged with, data controllers at top levels in our country and in some other jurisdiction around the world. When working on Nigeria's digital ID, and I had to work as a lead consultant to European Investment Bank, one of the development partners to Nigerian government, which advanced a sum of $430 million to Nigerian government. One of the things we realized is that the process of data collection violated, in fact, by the nature of the data form. Now you can see all over the data form violation of principle of data minimization. If anybody in this room got enrolled on NIN as far back as 2013, 2014, maybe up to 2019, 2020, I can tell you that you completed about 6-page form of 60 fields. But if you got enrolled from 2021 till date, you completed a form of 10 fields. In fact, in some other instances now, you will not be made to complete any form. The enrollment officer will be interrogating you and completing the form for you, where you have the other part of the screen, showing or displaying your personal data as they are being entered. So to confirm that, is anybody in this room that got enrolled on NIN pre-2020, maybe 2019, 2018? Is there anybody? Can I see your hand up?
Yes, actually, I did before the whole, what's it called? The sensitization and campaign launched, because you needed, Lagos, prior to NIN, you had the Lagos State President and then NIN, so you could do one or both. So.
Okay, so but did you have your NIN what year? 2019, 2018?
Yes.
What year? What year?
I don't recall. I was much younger, but I know it was before.
Okay. You may not be able to really answer that question categorically. Adejumoke, can we have you? When did you get enrolled on NIN?
2018. 2018.
Yes. What kind of forms did you fill? Like how many pages? More than one page?
Yes, more than one page, yes.
So you may not remember the number of pages, but I can tell you, I think it's about 5 to 6 pages, and it adds 60 fields. I'm that categorical that it has 60 fields because at some point, my team had to work directly with, NIMSI management, and we analyzed everything for them. They reduced it now to 10 fields, just 10. Why? Because in the 60 feet form, they were asking questions as to your bank card, your religion. These
your height, your color,
are not connected.
Yeah.
Let me even raise a question. Let me ask some of us. Do you think your religion should be on your NIN? Your religion?
No.
Why?
Well, that can be targeted. It can be targeted for adverse use. That's from security point of view. If there is a religious or difference or religious issues, and then they can pick your card, and they can pick your card, and maybe the opposite religion, and then they could cause harm to you. So I don't think religion should be on your card.
Okay.
Your ID card. I don't think you should be on your ID card.
So, Suleiman, I'm sorry, I didn't take it the other time. Can I have your contribution?
Yes, sir. I don't feel that I'm of the opinion that my religion does not have anything to do with my identity. It does not need to be on my NIN, and it doesn't need to be part of my NIN details.
Okay. You know one of the reasons why it should not be? Suleiman, what's your faith? Muslim,
I'm a
Islam.
Muslim.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Today, we have seen some Sulaiman yesterday who are Muslims, and today they are Christian, and they still do not change their name. There's a pastor called Apostle Suleiman, and there's some guys who are Christian today, and tomorrow they become Muslims, because we have freedom of religion, Section 38. So now, yes, somebody can advance argument. Okay, yes, there's principle of accuracy of data, so we should be able to change. But the point is it directly required? Is it necessarily required for it? Particularly when it's something that can easily change. Well, for me, it's Sulaiman has another argument. Sulaiman, can we have you? And
yes, sir. Okay. Yes, I'm sorry, but I want to just ask a question that based on something I've noticed with banks, which I feel is going to blow up to be a big issue within a short period of time.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes, in terms of outsourcing address verifications to their outsourcing of address verification. For example, within the space of 3 months, I've opened a bank account with 2 different banks, and I noticed that those they send to even conduct. I have an issue with address verification on one side, but even if I didn't have an issue with it, the fact that those that they send to conduct this address verification, they don't even look like staff of the bank. It gives me when I saw one of them, I had the fear that this person can come and survey and conduct surveillance on my address. That I just want to hear your opinion on that, sir. Hello, sir.
No, it's fine for kidnappers or robbers.
Sir?
Suleiman.
Yes, sir.
Oh my goodness, I've lost him. Suleiman, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir. Yes, I can hear you.
You raised a very legitimate concern. A very legitimate concern. And trust me, all of us here are in for it. You know, anytime I realize that, okay, this is a field that practice, I'm always excited. You know what? There are lots of surprises, there are lots of disruptions in days, months, years, and decades ahead of us. And when I mean us, I'm not just talking about us Nigerians, all over the world. Let me first lay this foundation. Many of you here are concerned, you know, about the private data controllers. Hey, guys, you're not starting yet. Your enemies are not private data controllers. Your enemies are your government. Not just saying Nigerian government, American government, and Department of Government Efficiency, you know, being co-led by Elon Musk. And I can tell you categorically, you saw a particular guy, perhaps it looks like a spy or riffraff. Now, Americans saw a 25-year-old guy having unfettered access to personal data of over 350 million Americans. And they say this is a red flag. Now, you see, no matter how you look at it, I tell you, your concern is legitimate. And maybe if we have enough time, we would have actually tried to say, okay, so what is the role of that guy? Of course, all of you will tell me, you know, admittably, that the guy is just a data processor. Your bank is data controller. But beyond that, does that guy really know that he has a sense of data protection and privacy that the data controller, which is his own client or whatever it is, the bank, asks to you, that the body that the bank asks to you, he also shared that body? Trust me, the guy doesn't know. You know why? Because even data controllers and data processors in government, they don't even know either. So we are not, you see, this is why any of you who is excited or who loves data protection, you know, class, take it serious. This is one field that in the next, to the end of your career, you will be excited working here. That are surprising. Now, as I speak to you, within the last 3 weeks, 3 judgments have been given, 3 rulings have been given in the American court now that stop President Donald Trump and Elon Musk from having access to personal data of Americans. There are two other rulings in some other courts. One of them is a case filed by the University of California Student Association, against the Secretary of Education. Yes, the court didn't stop them. Then there was another one. There were two other ones. The court didn't stop them. But in the case, the major case now is the one filed by United States, led by State of New York. Now, so the court has actually issued a temporary restraining order against Trump and Elon Musk. Now, so my point is this. Now, because even in that particular, there was a 25-year-old guy who has had access to personal data of Americans on the instruction of Elon Musk. And see, these are real threats. People don't know. They are real threats. You are concerned about one riffraff, but a guy who is not a riffraff is having access and can have. You see, many of you, your personal data is with them. See, how sure are you that your personal data is safe with them? Many of you here in this room, you heard recently that the federal government discovered 6,000 Nigerians on our personal data. And many of us are not bothered. In this same country, just a few months ago, you could buy I could buy your ID on a website for 100 naira. Your ID, I could buy it for 100 naira. When people didn't believe, when the people in government, they bought the ID of a senator, they bought the ID of the supervising minister of digital economy for 100 naira. So let's be clear. This is what will keep all of us busy to the end of our lives. I can tell you. I like that in America, in UK, in all over the world. So, but then, so you occupy privileged position to learn more about it to time, to immerse yourself into it, and on the final note, let me just say this. Yes, thank you. You have presented us the principles, the basic terms, and all of that. One of the other thing you should always remember is that when you are taking on your foundation or your foundational knowledge of data protection, now, and you try to remember, because maybe later in later sessions, you're going to be talking about the data subject right and the obligations on the part of data controllers. When you really want to get yourself confused, when you think you're about to get confused with what are the data subject right and what are the data controllers obligations, don't bother yourself too much about that. Ensure that you know your data principle. Now, when you know that well, that will always produce you, the rights and the obligations. How do I mean? That will always remind you, the rights and obligations on the part of both the data subject and the data controllers respectively. We can take one as an example. The principle of accuracy. The principle of accuracy, imposes or confers a right to rectification on the data subject, and it imposes the duty to ensure rectification on the part of the data controller. And if I take each of the principle for you, I begin to unpack them, you understand what I'm talking about. So just ensure that you immerse yourself in this principle. So when you know the part time when you bring up a principle, you will bring out of that pack, the data subject right and data controllers obligations. I think on this note, let me stop here. Let's have Mr. Manuel to give his review and all of that. And of course, if I'm needed, I'll come back to the room. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Solomon, for that very insightful contribution from your end. We really, really do appreciate your feedback. So please, can we have Mr. Emmanuel, sir, if you are with us? We would like to hear feedback from you based off of the presentation, and then we'll move over to Ms. Jadisola, and then we'll take questions.
Okay, thank you. And I'm super happy to have Mr. Solomon back and other presenters. Sorry, other mentors as well. And for the presentation, just like Mr. Solomon said, I think there is room for improvement so much to improve on, especially on since this is the introduction. I would have loved to hear so much about the enabling laws and just give us a foundation of how we're able to come about our laws, which is we all know that in fact majority of what is contained in the in our law, it's more like copy and paste. So we should give like the foundation. Okay, this is how it has been ongoing. Start from the GDPR. Tell us so much, and it is pertinent to know that our Data Protection Act is the only enforceable regulation at this moment. Others are advisory. So build on this capacity and let us know from this introductory part, let us know that, okay, these are the laws that in subsequent classes we will be examining. So much needs to be improved on, especially the second presenter. So Mr. Solomon have done justice. Like, he's always doing justice. I don't know if his name is Justice, but I know he has done very well in pointing out what needs to be improved. So I believe that in the next class we'll have a better presentation. But your slides for the intro, your slides very good. The clarity, the whole arrange everything about the slide is good, but the presentation should be improved. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. Ms. Jadisola, are you still with us, ma?
Oh, yes, I am. Yes, I am. I mean, after Mr. Solomon, I don't know what to say, but I also wanted to mention there was a particular, I think it was group 2. Let me go and check it. I found the slide quite distracting because your background had, yeah, so it's a group. Which group is this? Group 1, yes. Your, like the heading that you used had wordings. I didn't know which one to look at, right? And so there were some of the picture, it was inside the pictures that you put the word. I just found it quite distracting, Sha. I don't know if you can work on that. Yes, aesthetics is important in presentation, but the problem we've always had for with the word guys against the number people is how to make our slides engaging without being distracting. It's a balance that you kind of have to find. That's my only comment. But I wanted to also leverage off some of the comments that Mr. Solomon had made. And it is in the thing that I had said before that for data processors, especially in regulated spaces, we have a lot of conflicting laws and something has to be done about it. I particularly wanted to speak when the issue of the mother's maiden name came up, but I just thought to let it go, but I thought it was something worth discussing. Now, as I work in a financial institution, and so we have heavily imposed on us the duty of due diligence. Now, one of the ways that we can do our due diligence correctly, particularly with respect to PEP, is knowing what other variants of name that you can have, right? I work in the capital market, and we find that there were some times that when they did IPOs, people that were not yet married, they had used their maiden name and their first name. So to do a search of the holdings of those people, we actually need the maiden name. And to do due diligence, we want to know if you are a PEP. Unfortunately, Nigeria is a country that has terrible record keeping. We don't have record depositories, so to speak. There is hardly a website you can go to check the PEPs that we have in the country, for instance. And we have imposed on us the duty of, recording transactions carried on by PEPs. So if you don't give us the mother's maiden name, how do we know that, you came from a particular family before you got married? Or how, so these are important information that we actually need. And if something is going to be done to make sure that regulated entities in particular don't collect certain data, then a clarity has to be done from top to bottom. Maybe some laws need adjustment, What I'm trying to say is what I already said before. There are conflicting laws that make data processors confused sometimes, and we need to correct it. We need to agree on what we are doing, what is the standard, and it has to be documented. Otherwise, this is a battle that we are always going to have to keep on fighting. At the moment, those of us that are on the stand the risk of being chased by people from Mr. Solomon's path. We try as much as possible to cover our asses. And how we do it is to make sure that to a large extent we get consent for what we are doing. And we try as much as possible to be transparent about what we are going to do with your data, and we get your consent. But at the end of the day, something has to be done to the laws that guide the activities of data processors. So that's just what I'm going to say at this time.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Jadisola. Thank you so much. So now we'll be taking questions. We've had quite a very insightful session from the very start. Mr. Emmanuel started with his introduction. Mr. Jadisola also highlighted some points. We had presentation. We heard from Mr. Solomon, and we've gotten feedbacks to the presentation. So now, please, I expect that probably there's a few gray areas that we may need clarity on, right? So please, we want to give these opportunities to mentees to ask questions to get the necessary clarity that they need. So please, if you have a question, kindly indicate by the raise of hand, right? Unmute yourself and then ask your question. Do you have any person with a question in class today? Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. I have a question to ask, please.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. My question is with respect to the principle of accuracy. I want to know how organizations, because in Nigeria, unfortunately, there is no general database that collects people data as per maybe when you transit from one level of life to another, like marriage, like you changed your name, you started to change your name and all, or maybe somebody died and all, and there is need to update those data so that it will be in line with what is currently going on. Okay, so how do our organizations, like let's say for instance the bank, I got married, I didn't tell the bank that I have changed my name. I've done all those change of name and all those publications and all, but the bank is not aware that I'm married, and they can't update the data if they don't know. So how do these organizations comply with this principle of accuracy? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for asking that question, Ms. Jadisola, please, would you like to bring an answer to this question?
I had a feeling it was going to be me. So while we have the obligations of the data processors and data controllers, we also have the obligation of the data subjects. It is for you to tell. There is not possible to know, that you have changed your name or you would rather be addressed as XYZ. You have to tell us, right? So where the onus now lies on you, right? Where the problem is for the data processor, for the data controller, is that you have come to tell me that my name has changed, or I don't have something in place to make sure that you can tell me. One of the things that must be on your privacy policy, and indeed maybe your privacy notice, is letting data subjects know what their rights are, and making sure that you have an accessible means of them enforcing these rights. Case in point now is the right to what's it called now, rectification. So you that you have changed your name, the onus now lies on you to inform the data controller that my name has changed. This is what it is. Now, as the data controller, you also have the duty not to make that process too tedious, right? You cannot be asking for the head of a goat and two corn pap to be placed in the middle of the road by 2 a.m. It has to be an easy process, something that an email would suffice or something. Now, after providing such information and they refuse to correct it, then the burden is now on the data controllers to defend themselves on why they've not. Because if you say you did newspaper publication, they don't put your face beside the newspaper publication. So do you know how many people are bear Esonja de Sola? How are we sure that it is your own Esonja de Sola? So to effectively have that one that has to do with name change, right, in place, there's a responsibility also on the data subject to inform the data controller that my information has changed, right? There are also instances, for instance, now when you are opening an account with my business, we do KYC and we have collected your ID, we have collected your utility bill. Maybe 3 or 6 months down the line, your ID expired, and then we contact you and say, oh, please give us your new ID. And we notice that the ID you are giving us, maybe the address on it has changed. You gave us your driver's license, which would most often than not have your address. And we notice that what we have on your address has changed. We also have the duty to ask you, oh, we noticed this change as something happened. Once you tell us that, oh, I moved from XYZ to ABC, then we also have the right to now go to your records that we have in-house and change it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or maybe your threshold changed and you need to be transacting in some figures. We need to do increased due diligence, and we ask for your utility bill. Now we see that the address on your new utility bill is different from what we have on records. After we confirm the reason for the change, we also have the duty to change it. But you can see that there is some form of synergy between the data subject and the controller. It is almost impossible to do it without the data subject. You need to give us what to work with. I don't know if
thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mark, for helping us with that question. Some of the questions that were sent during the research, I'll just be reading it out to the mentors, and then I'll be directing it to our mentors for them to answer. The question is in chat box. The first question here is, what is the difference between data privacy and data protection? I think I'll be directing this question to Mr. Emmanuel. Mr. Emmanuel, please, if you can give some clarity to what the difference between data privacy and data protection is.
Can you take the question again, please?
Yes, sir. The question is, what's the difference between data privacy and data protection?
Okay. And a lot of time people usually confuse this term, and in fact it is used interchangeably, like on several occasions. But it is very important to note that while data privacy is actually those rights that belongs to an individual, data protection is the mechanism that data controllers and processors put in place to ensure the safeguard of the data subjects' rights and data. So just know that while one is actually those rights and entitlement, an individual, and I don't know, can you hear me? I just feel like there's an echo. So can you hear me?
We can hear you. I can hear you.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Solomon. So while data privacy relates to an individual's rights, data protection are those mechanisms to ensure that there is maximum, let's name them, security, accountability, transparency, lawfulness, all those obligations, all those principles being carried out is through the body of data protection, while data privacy refers to that individual's rights I guess we'll discuss about this rights, this whole thing that a data subject is entitled to in subsequent classes. But with this clear explanation, I think you should be able to understand better right now and use the term rightly. But you can use them together, but don't use them interchangeably. Don't use them as opposite of each other. So that's just my position on this.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for helping out with the difference and also clearly defining them. Okay, the next question, I think the next two questions more like a two-in-one question, and I think I want to direct it to Mr. Solomon. The question is, what is the practicability of data privacy and protection on social media, where content creators now capture innocent individuals in a derisive condition and present them on their social media page as a content or as content? And what is the measures put in place to prevent this ugly practice?
Okay, so the practicality of or the practicability of the question, of data protection and privacy on social media regarding content creators, their hacks and capturing people's innocent people, their face and all of that. Maybe I should replace the word. Okay, so I should use the word practicability there to point to them dynamism of data protection and privacy. That's what it's speaking to. How dynamic data protection and privacy frameworks and practices should be. Before I directly speak to that, let me bring up a particular experience. Someday I was on board KLM. I think I was flying it, within Europe, and I just looked up. When I looked up, where we have the overhead cabin, and I just saw a notice that actually prohibits the taking of photographs of other passengers, addressed to each passenger on board. Let us relate to it. Many of us, anytime we travel, or maybe we are on the plane, whether from Lagos to Abuja or Lagos to, London, we are fond of taking pictures to send to our loved ones, to let them know that, okay, our friends and all of that, yes, we can all. And maybe our ladies actually do it more. When you see ladies at the park, at the airport, they take pictures. I mean, every given opportunity for our ladies to take pictures, they don't let it slide, right? So, which is fine. Sometimes you keep memories. But then the point here is this. It is always said that where your right ends is where the right of another person begins. So in that situation, the airline realized that it is a data controller who is responsible for protecting personal data of every passenger. So if your seat is beside mine, or you are sitting closely beside me, it's not because I want to sit with you or I want to share a seat with you. It's because the data controller, which is the airline right now, has actually put us together. So the airline realized that he has a level of responsibility to me to ensure that it does not aid you from violating my rights. And that's why they put that notice there. So what that notice has done for them is to actually enable them limit their own liability to me in case I actually seek a redress against the other passenger. How does this relate to social media, particularly when it comes to content creation? Yes, we see them all over the place. I can tell you categorically, the reason why some of these things actually go on is because there's not been any, cases in court where someone, challenged such a violation. Let me refresh your memory. Almost every one of us in this room have come across videos of skits, abroad and maybe a few of them here, but mostly abroad, that you will see the faces of some of the characters in the skit blurred. Have you seen them? Have we seen such videos?
Yes, sir, we have.
Yes. So what the person has done is to have limited or restricted their liability because they know that such will happen. Somebody will see it. And because, you see, listen, we are living in the global majority, global south. I don't want to say third world country or a poor, continent, where people are still thinking of where the next meal is coming from. So somebody who does not know where the next meal is coming from, and all of a sudden sees his image on macaroni show or OGB Curtis skit, we say, that's me, Emini. In fact, some people think it's flex, quote and unquote, to see their image on a skit on the social media. They do not realize that it is a violation of their right to personal data. So oftentimes, one of the things I think is responsible is ignorance. Oftentimes, some people don't know. Now, two, poverty. Now, even when they know, they are not sure they have the resources to challenge it, because you are not going to drag the government into it. You really do not necessarily have to drag, the social media, the big tech company, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, into it. You only need to firstly drag the particular content creator to court. If he now believes there is somebody that should have, or you, by the sight of your case, you think there's a collaborator, perhaps the social media platform, then you can join the social media platform. But I can tell you that in such a case, more often than not, you only need the creator. Then the next question, what is the measure put in place to prevent this ugly practice? Seriously, for this kind of situation, I think the only measure is to challenge it. I can tell you categorically, like the case I happened with the pizza company, you will realize that they will begin to consciously limit how they process personal data henceforth. And that's the reality. So the moment you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 content creators sued, and in fact, before judgment has delivered, every other person will be adjusting. But to say a measure will be put in place, whether by government, I don't think so. The very best that can happen is sensitization. Whether by, or maybe by big tech companies, the social media platforms, yes, it will still be more of sensitization. Because the social media company will not know whether you were part of the skit or your consent was sought and obtained before the video is uploaded. Until you complain, they wouldn't know. So, and the very best you can do is, if you realize that, look, I wasn't paid to be part of this. I didn't know, nobody told me anything, nobody saw my consent, then go to court. So that's what I think can happen in that situation. I hope I've been able to make an enlightening point.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
I would just like to add a little bit on this. And
okay, Mr.
Mr. Solomon has just made it. In fact, has hit the nail on the head. But let me just add some points. We have really trivialized a lot of things, especially in Nigeria. For you to know the extent which this whole privacy issue has gone to, right now, even in events that you want to cover your event, you have to put a privacy disclaimer. This event will be covered on video. In fact, in any place that there is a camera, you're supposed to notify anyone who passed through that place that there is a camera there. Also, people snap pictures carelessly in Nigeria without they don't care who is beside them. If you should snap me, if you should take my picture, even by mistake, I will drag you to court. And I will win. because you have violated my privacy. You have taken my picture without my consent. So imagine skit makers that are actually making money from their videos, from their content. That one is a bigger damages. Because you use my face, you use my data to make money, then you should pay more now. So there are a lot of things that we don't really pay attention to. But the world has gone very far in regards to the infusion of privacy rights in all these aspects. So with all this awareness, with all these discussions that we're having, I think we're expanding the whole awareness. We're building the awareness in your minds now. So learn to tell your friends, your family members to know that you can't take random pictures. You can't just snap anybody. And you have to, let's use the skit guys. If you know any content creator, they have to be careful with the way they manage. In fact, Mr. Solomon rightly said, it's either they blur faces or, in fact, just know that majority of the contents outside Nigeria that you see the people's faces, most of them, they're either staged or arranged. Because the faces that you will see there, most of them, they have actually taken their consent. So a lot of discussion we need to push out there about all this, and ensure that people's privacy is respected, especially in our country. Thank you.
Moderator, please,
Thank
can
you,
I
sir.
add something to what Mr. Emmanuel said? I mean, to just be now,
Please,
can you hear me?
sir. Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, so Mr. Emmanuel said something, and I love it. I'm not sure. I mean, let me ask that question. He said something about putting a note in the disclaimer. How many of us have attended events, a concert, AGM, or party? Okay, don't let us use party. Let us use the one that's possible, like a concert in a mall. How many of you have actually passed through a mall where there's a concert or a gig or something, and you saw notices on privacy there? Has it happened? Do we have anybody in the room who has experienced that? Nobody? You see? Are you still in the room?
Yes, I am here, sir.
Have you experienced such before?
No, I haven't.
No, they go out now and I've social book you they read.
I actually have. I have.
I go out, but I've
You
not
don't
seen
go
any
out.
I've not seen any notices.
No. Yes, okay. So who said she has?
Me, Jadesola.
Oh, no.
I cannot be a student too.
I'm talking about you. Let's pick okay, who now? Guys, you know they go out. Oluwadam Lola. Oluwadam Lola. Is he still in the room? Oluwasheun. Okay, so now this is it. Now, I have actually expressed it before. I witnessed it. But sincerely speaking, I've only seen it once also. So I live in Lagos. And someday, I live close, not far from Ikeja City Mall. So I just drove down. Then after I picked some items, for shopping, I now began to move around when I saw that, okay, there's actually a stage. And I said, this is a stage. So do they have a performer, this and that? All of a sudden, I began to spot some yellow boards because the event was being hosted by MTN. And on each of the yellow board is actually a notice and a disclaimer that, look, that you are within this environment, you are giving consent to your your image to be captured. I said, wow. And that was, I think that was just even, that was about 3 years ago, 2022 or 2023, I can't recall, maybe 2023, early 2023 or so. So, I mean, I was impressed. I was impressed. So what that means that maybe if you are organizing your great-great-great-grandfather's funeral or remembrance, and you do not do that, maybe we assume that everybody who has come is on invitation or they force themselves into your event. You know, maybe you didn't invite them, but they invited themselves. But when it comes to the event taking place at a public place, and there are possibilities of persons who are not in any way connected or interested in your event, walking through the event area, there's always a need for you to put that notice there, so that in event that such a claim comes up, at least whether that will exonerate you or not is not the point yet. You will have a defense. So much so that even when the person sees, the person can say, okay, it's all right, no problem, I can let go or something. So it's always very important.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, thank you to our mentors for helping us with those questions. It has been a very wonderful class so far. We've had questions, we've had feedbacks from our mentors, we've had a discussion on the topic, Introduction to Data Privacy. We've highlighted the definitions, we've talked about regulations, we talked about principles, and I'm sure, our mentees, based off of their research and what has been said in class, they've been able to pick significant lessons that are applicable to them and that they can use to, now better inform themselves about data privacy and protection. So we've come to the end of today's class. Once again, a big thank you to our mentors for helping us do justice to the subject matter of today. We really, really appreciate your presence. But before we go, one final thing I would like for us to do, as is within our practice, is to take a quick photo, right? A quick screenshot of the participants in class. So please, if you can, I would like to ask for mentees to turn on their videos so that we can take a quick screenshot. All right, thank you very much. Okay, can we have more mentees turn on their videos? Thank you, Bukola. Thank you, Pina. Thank you, Ifunaya. All right, Aisha, I can see, but your location is quite dark. Thank you so much. Sorry, we should have taken this much earlier. Sorry about that.
Good evening, Mr. Dennis.
Thank you so much, Mr. Suleiman. All right, so we are done with that. I look forward to seeing.
Good evening, Mr. Dennis.
Yeah, good evening. Okay, you want to say something?
No, I saw that people turned on their camera. My network was my network was down at the point. That's why I left. That's why I left the meeting. So I thought you were capturing those that attended the class today.
Yes, so that was what we were doing. We're just taking a quick screenshot. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm sorry about the network. Yes, so we come to the end of the
Okay, sir.
We come to the end of the class. Please, mentees, take note of the feedback that the mentors gave for the presentation. Please, when next you are doing presentations, kindly add case studies so that we can get to see more practical examples of how data privacy plays out within real life and real world events, right? So thank you so much once again. Thank you to our mentors. Please do not forget to share what you've learned on your different social medias. Do not forget to fill out your attendance. And what else? I think that's all. All right. Any other announcements will be sent to the group. Good night, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening.